Yo, what's up, family? I hope y'all are doing good, watching some basketball. Welcome back to the Uncommon Commentators, as always. Most definitely. Got the boy Wiley's on the ones and twos, as always, with the right timing. I'm your boy Antoine. It's my man GB. It's my man Garrett. How you been feeling, Garrett? We've been going through this cold shit, just like everyone is watching this show, right now, and our boy Wiley too. So, have you been, man? Like, hope you've been staying warm out there and just staying safe, for real, for real.
Yeah, man, just trying to stay warm. Of course, it's very cold outside, and should be getting some snow here this weekend. But yeah, man, just still on the grind. Writing articles and still following what's going around the NBA. Of course, we have a lot to talk about. But yeah, man, everything's been good over here.
Most definitely. Yeah, same here, man. As always, same here with the writing articles, either Hawks or Lakers. The Hawks, they're on a four-game winning streak right now, so we got some stuff to write about.
Yep.
Finally some positive stuff. So, but y'all already know what's up. We got a great show for y'all tonight, most definitely, as always. And for the first topic of the night, want to go ahead and get rid of the elephant in the room, which is the trade deadline, the NBA trade deadline. It's approaching on February 5th, but the rumors have already beginning to circulate of which heavyweight players really might end up leaving their teams. The biggest one of all, obviously, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Shams Charania himself came out and said that they are officially working on getting him to a new destination. Now, this shit has been kind of tricky because obviously Giannis has been taking a fair amount of injuries lately and stuff like that. But it's still Giannis, of course, putting up astronomical numbers right now. He's averaging 28 with 10 and 5 a game. And I think right now, for Giannis, it's really just about trying to get him back on the contender at this point. Milwaukee, it's pretty embarrassing to see what's happened with the franchise the last couple of years, seeing the whole Damian Lillard situation and like he got injured and they stretched his contract. They waived him, got him up out of there, and they turn around and like you sign Miles Turner for like over 100 million. And now you're gonna lose Giannis, unfortunately. Like there wasn't much they could do. Everyone was kind of feeling suspect about this roster to begin with, and now to see where they are in the league right now, they're like the 11th seed. They wouldn't even make the play-in right now if the playoffs started today. So it's about time Giannis got up out of there. He did his job already. He won him a championship and shit like that. So obviously there's a lot we could get into, but I did want to start with Giannis in particular. A lot of the trade packages, they've been kind of suspect. I'm seeing a lot from the most notable places like CBS Sports and stuff like that. But one three-team trade I saw involved the Knicks getting Giannis and Jeremy Grant. The Trailblazers would get Mikal Bridges and Gertrude Yabusele. In the Bucks, Milwaukee gets in return. They get Carl Anthony. They get Miles McBride Deuce. Pacome Diet, the Knicks rookie, well, sophomore now. He hasn't really played like that. And a first round pick from Washington via New York. So like the Bucks would get a Knicks pick. It's pretty all over the place, but it does end with Giannis going to New York and Cat going to Milwaukee. Now that would be pretty interesting. I could see New York doing that. I guess before I go ahead and get to your take, for me personally, I think the most realistic places are New York. I've seen Golden State, but I think it's between Miami, New York, and like that's honestly in terms of the East, like that's it, man. I don't see him going to Boston. They still got Jason Tatum. Toronto has their full roster. They have their cohesive unit now. Detroit, they're beyond cohesive. They're dominant. And the Knicks, like how we discussed on our last podcast, they were hitting that midseason wall a little bit. So I think that's what could take them over the edge is going for a superstar like Giannis, getting Jalen Brunson, that co-star for the playoffs, most definitely. So how do you feel about the Giannis situation first? And what do you think is going to happen with the former MVP?
Yeah, it's most likely he'll get moved. Of course, I think the question is whether he's going to be moved by the deadline or in the off season. But it looks like to me, I think he will be moved by the deadline. I think the Bucks they want to get this taken care of as soon as possible. But at the same time, this is Giannis, right? He is a NBA champion. He's a former MVP, former defensive player of the year. So 9-time All Star, 9-time All NBA. So of course you don't want to just get rid of him just to keep the process along. Of course you want to receive a package that is sustainable for now and in the future. So of course they're not just going to take anything. So of course they're going to take their time and see what the market is. Of course, it is heavy because a lot of teams are interested in Giannis, and you see a lot of teams such as the Warriors. You're hearing them, Miami, New York, Minnesota. So there's quite a few teams out there that are willing to put together a package for Giannis. But the question is that what package would be sustainable for the Bucks. I did hear that they're asking for the farm, of course, which is not surprising. But of course, they're asking for a lot of young players and a lot of draft capital. So it's just more so of where teams draw the line as far as how much they're willing to give up for Giannis, because we know he's 31 years old and whoever he gets traded to, he has to basically agree to a contract extension with that team. So of course, that's going to factor as far as how much teams are going to give up for him. So yeah, there's a plethora of teams that are interested in him, but yeah, I just think that for where both sides are right now, I think it's best for the Bucks to um, you know, see what they can get for Giannis, take the best deal, and keep it moving because it looks like that they're going to tank the rest of the season because they want to try to get a quality draft pick out of this draft. This draft is expected to be one of the best that we've seen in a very very long
Very, very
time,
young.
especially in the freshman class. This is like the best freshman class of all time, or at least in recent time it has. But yeah, for the Bucks, they're looking to tank the rest of the season so they can get a high quality draft pick. Because just to remind everybody that the Hawks, they do own the most favorable pick between New Orleans and Milwaukee, but Milwaukee, they received the less favorable. So wherever the less favorable pick that there is, and that's what they're gonna get. So we'll just have to see how that turns out, but that won't be until mid May or early May. So yeah, it's not surprising, and it's only just going to be a matter of time because for Giannis, as I said before, we know Giannis is a champion. We know he wants to win, but Milwaukee, they've ran out of options. Honestly, they've done the best that they could with him. They surrounded him with uh, players that complemented his skill set. When you talk about the likes of Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, and like I said, they won a championship out of that. But after that, they just weren't able to really maximize Giannis to the best of their ability. They did bring in Damian Lillard, but that didn't go well as many people expected, including myself. And obviously they ended up letting him go so that way they could sign Miles Turner. And obviously the rest of the roster is not even a playoff team in my opinion. So we know that they're a breadth of assets and they don't have any assets to really go out and add a player that can really improve this team to be a championship contending team. So we know it's best for both sides. So we're just taking it day by day and see what news that we hear out on a day-to-day basis. So we know, Sean Serrania, Jake Fisher, and Mark Stein, all those guys, they'll be covering it all. So we're exactly 1 week away from the trade deadline. So we're just counting down the days. So it'll be interesting over this next week.
Mhm. Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, I just want to start out with Giannis because he's undoubtedly the biggest fish in the sea right now. He's the one that everybody wants the most, 100%. And I guess part of it to me is like, because I don't think it's a lot of hesitation from some front offices. I think the phone is ringing most definitely. I just think that it's only certain teams because, that paycheck, he's making 58 million next year and going into the 2027-2028 year he has a $62 million player option. We're seeing players like Anthony Davis still want a max contract, even being 32, going on 33 years old in March and stuff like that. Like I mentioned Giannis's numbers earlier. Obviously, he's still operating at a very high level. He just turned 31 in December. So clearly, you're getting his best years if you do decide to sign him. I just still think like the asking price is pretty astronomical. Like you have to be in the in the best situation possible to really maximize him. Because if you sign him, even if you want to try to surround him with a supporting cast, it's gonna be kind of hard. You don't got that much wiggle room with how much
Yeah.
you're paying with how much you're paying Giannis off the rip. He's already taken up like 40% of your cap. So I think with Antetokounmpo, like I mentioned, I think the Knicks really have the best chance. They already have that cat contract, so they can, kind of do like a mini swap. 'Cause I don't think the contracts line up like that, like verbatim, equally like that. But I do think they're kind of in the same ballpark. So I do think that moving Cat does obviously get off that $228 million deal with Carl Anthony, and I guess you just have to figure it out with Giannis and Jalen Brunson. You know what this move is. If you go for Giannis, any team that goes for him, you know what this move is. That's like I said, it's only particular teams. Those teams have to be already fringe championship contenders. And I do think that
Mhm.
Giannis would take the Knicks over the hump. I do think that if they're somehow able to keep OG, I don't think they keep Mikal Bridges like that package I did mention. That does have Bridges going to Milwaukee. Oh no, that's Miles McBride.
Portland.
Bridges would go to Portland. Yeah, he'd go to Portland. That was Miles McBride, must have.
I know that ain't who
Um,
I
but
think it is.
but I do think that Bridges would go to Portland. Like this whole trade package does seem accurate. But I guess just to end on the Giannis part, I it really does have to be the perfect situation. I don't think he goes to a West team. Some people mention Golden State. I don't see that. They got to trade an injured Jimmy Butler. He has like $120 million deal, so you can move that contract, but you have to give up a lot if you're Golden State. And now you're pairing Giannis with a 37-year-old Curry, and as soon as Curry leaves, now you just have Giannis by himself. So I think the best one is New York. For Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he does leave the Milwaukee Bucks, I do think his next destination will be the New York Knicks, most definitely. But I know the boy Wiley most definitely had his 2 cents, and I would definitely love to hear him
Hmm.
for sure.
Uh, well, I'll just tag on with the Golden State one.
Hmm.
If you're Golden State and your transition is from Steph to Giannis, that's kind of a win. That's just my 2 cents. Also, yes, if I can get Jimmy Butler off my fucking books, that motherfucker's gone. But my main reason for hopping on the mic real quick is
Please do.
what team would both of y'all just doesn't matter how it gets done, but what team would you like to see Giannis get traded to?
You can go first, Garrett.
Yeah, honestly, I would have the Knicks up there, but if Minnesota is willing to pay the price, that probably be a move I would like to see. I would like to see Anthony Edwards go, deeper into the playoffs. We've seen him,
Hmm.
make it to West Conference Finals before, but I would like to see him to, make it back there and then take it a step further and go into the finals. I think Anthony Edwards and a Giannis duo, that's something to look there. Because I think it's been more interesting for Giannis to go out west. Honestly, we've heard teams like the Spurs, for example, and Antoine mentioned the Warriors. So, and it looks like the Warriors that could be a feasible destination. But yeah, I think I'm going to be, different from everybody else. Like I said, I think the Knicks would be a good destination for them. But for me, I think Minnesota would be a good situation for them. I think
I,
Anthony Edwards and a Giannis duo would do a lot of damage.
I'd say don't count the Warriors out because they have the
Yeah,
draft. They have draft picks.
yeah.
Capital.
That's why I said
They,
I wouldn't count them out.
yeah,
Yeah,
they have
yeah, they
draft
can make
picks
something
that
work.
like first round draft picks. Like
Hmm.
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
that's why I'm like I wouldn't necessarily count them out. But go ahead, Garrett. I mean, I'm sorry, Antoine.
Nah, I was just gonna agree, most definitely. I do think that would be the right move. And like for Minnesota, like I was grinning because like man, that honestly, that for the Western Conference, I think that's the prime destination. Outside of Golden State for the reasons that you listed, Wiley. But I like Minnesota because I think they could still move Julius Randle. I think he's still a great player that has a lot of value. And I think they could move him. It'd be heartbreaking for him, seeing how he just got to Minnesota from New York. But I think he'd be like the focal point of that trade. It'd be like Julius Randle with some picks, like maybe Dante. They might put Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle back in the same trade package. Seriously, because DiVincenzo, of course, is still a great player himself, so has a lot of value, and he's on a pretty decent contract too. The one he got from New York. Um, so, yeah, I do think that Minnesota, outside of Golden State, would be the best option for the Western Conference. I think, even like with what you said, Wiley, like yeah, like fuck everything else, like just purely like fantasy shit. I think Minnesota would be great because you already have a young superstar, and you paired that young superstar with an experienced superstar, who's already been to the finals, already won a championship. And Anthony has shown what he can do as the head of the snake already. So I think that would be the best one. Especially knowing they could move Randall in that trade, most definitely. I agree, real shit. I do think Minnesota would be the best one for the Western Conference. It's still a contender, and they have assets to and from most stuff. And like yeah, and even then, we all know that Giannis is obviously the biggest fish on the market. Still talking about Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, the Knicks want to move him. I think they're just looking around the roster right now and they're thinking about which one of these, like of the starters, is the most expendable. It's crazy. It's one of the stars at that, but he's still having a good season. But I do think that Cat would likely end up in that Giannis deal. I think that's where he would really come into play, because that's another big contract that has to get moved from New York. So I honestly stick with what I said that first time, that original trade package of Cat going to Milwaukee. It gives Cat the chance to be a franchise player again, like how he was in Minnesota. He's been in that position before. He's young, like he just turned 30, so they could build around him. And yeah, the Bucks get a slew of picks in that trade package I mentioned earlier. In just a refresher, it has Cat, Miles and Bride, Pacome, and again like a 2026 pick, 2028 from Orlando, 2028 and 2020 in a 2020 and 2022 from New York. So that's a lot of fucking draft capital. That damn near changes the trajectory of a fucking franchise. Giving up your franchise player, and that's of equal value. To move on from Giannis, I think that whole 3-team trade, I think that's the best solution for every team we were going to discuss with the NBA trade deadline. And outside of that, like the Lakers, they're trying to make moves. Like they don't have many fucking assets at all. I'll be quite honest. I'm writing articles about that, and like you got like Maxi Kleber and like Gabe Vincent, and shit like that, and like the Lakers. And I mentioned that because obviously they made a lot of moves over the off season. And I think it's fair to say the team has kind of been a disappointment. They're missing Austin Reeves, so that is a massive part of it. I'm not just gonna be ignorant and act like that's not a part of it. But the Lakers, I've just truly been surprised with how the team has performed, most definitely. Most definitely. But yeah, Garrett, outside of that though, like I said, Giannis is the biggest fish on the market. I think he'll go to New York realistically, but he could go to, Minnesota, Golden State, any of those teams. But are there any other moves that you do want to see happen or you think might happen before the trade deadline ends?
I mean, Brian Windhorst, he did once mention that really Giannis is a trade deadline, and a lot of teams are kind of putting other deals on hold to see what happens with him. So, like I said, we'll see what happens between now and the actual trade deadline date. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be a very active trade deadline to me. but I could be wrong. You hear a lot of names such as Daniel Gafford, of course Anthony Davis, but he's not going to be moved more than likely. You're hearing Kobe White that could be on the move. So,
Yeah.
like I said, there's plenty of names out there going around, of course, but for me, that's why I say until teams get a firm idea of what's going to happen with Giannis, if he's indeed going to get traded by the deadline, then I think teams are going to wait out first because that will change the entire landscape of the league. So I think for me, until teams get understanding of what's that going to happen, then that's going to change every team's or at least some direction for some teams of how they want to pivot towards the trade deadline. But of course, I had to get some Hawks news. So right now, it looks like that we're still surveying the deadline to see what options are out there for us. Right now, we're looking to add more front court depth. So we're looking to utilize Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard's expiring contracts, which is come to a total around 40 million. Salary that we could use to add quality depth to the roster. I'm not
Mhm.
sure who. I did hear Daniel Gafford is a name that we could potentially look at. Of course, we said it before that Anthony Davis was a name, but like I said, with his hand injury, he's most likely not going to be moved. But like I said, between now and the trade deadline, you're going to hear more intel and more news. So we're just going to see what happens. But I will say if Giannis indeed gets moved, I think the deadline will be more interesting. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the chaos and a lot of things happening. I like it too that way. I don't like it when it's quiet, but well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens and then go from there. So
Mhm.
hopefully we'll see some action soon.
Nah, I agree, man. Most definitely. And even like just to like literally close the book on the shit. Like I saw that hog shit too, man. Like they got us giving fucking Jalen Johnson and the fucking Pelicans pick to Milwaukee. Absolutely fucking not. I don't see the Hawk. I mean, it's not even me. Like it's reported that the Hawks literally have zero interest in trading Jalen and the
Of
Pelicans
course.
pick
Yeah.
for fucking Giannis. So I mean it's whatever. Like if you, I mean, I'm saying you got teams not giving up. Like I mean, for real, bro. Like I think it's gonna be harder than people think. But of course, moving on. No, and I was looking forward to this next topic a lot. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. As I know, we're approaching the All Star break, most definitely, and that means we're approaching the halfway mark of the season. And man, like this really is my favorite part of the year. I like to always look forward and think about which players could take home the awards by the end of the year. So I did want to go one at a time, not just give out my whole list. Most definitely, I'll give my pick for the certain awards. You know, MVP, MIP, you know, all that shit. Right? Coach of the year, whoever you might have for the categories, most definitely. And I can give mine, you can give yours, and we'll just like go back and forth as we go. But starting off, of course, with the biggest one of all, the most valuable player. Most valuable player for me right now is definitely. I was going to say Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons. I think he's played great this year. He's taken another leap. His whole team has taken another leap. They have like they're obviously head and shoulders above the Eastern Conference, and they've shown no sign of slowing down. Jalen Duren has also taken a leap as well. Both of them could most definitely be all stars this year, especially Duren being like 21 years old. He is so. Truly is remarkable to see where they were just a few years ago, 14 and 68. They were like 3 and 35 at one point, and now I mean they could damn near compete for a championship this year. Like it's pretty crazy how much can change. But yeah, like that honestly is my pick for MVP. It's Cade Cunningham. And even then, just to give a reminder of what he's averaging this year. For those who have forgot, he's averaging 25 a game with 6 boards and 10 assists a game, shooting about 46% from the field. So I think it's MVP numbers. But who do you have for MVP right now, Garrett?
Of course, I have the one and only SGA out of OKC.
Stuff.
They have the best record at 38 and 10, not just in the West, but in the entire NBA. And
Mhm.
so we know SGA, he was the reigning MVP. He is the reigning MVP, and I think he'll get another one this year. Um, of course, right now he's averaging 32 points per game, averaging 4.4 rebounds and 6.2 assists, and shooting 55% from the field. So yeah, we know SGA. He helped led OKC to win a championship, and so for me, when it comes to these type of stuff, I always include politics because you know how all this goes. So I always love using that word. But yeah, so
No, you're right.
factoring into that, I think SJ is going to get another one. But yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if Kate Cunningham at least lands into the top three voting because the Pistons they are playing very very phenomenal this year, and really I didn't expect them to be this good. I was thinking they were going to be a top five seed, but they are the best team in the East at 34-11 on a 2 game winning streak. So yeah, Cade and Jalen Duran and Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey, who's came back
Mhm.
this season at the injury. So all guys are playing very well. So yeah, they are a tough team to beat. And so I think, that's why I say I think they are the team that will make it to the finals, honestly. Because the Knicks, even though I do have them in the Eastern Conference Finals, but uh, this slump that they've been in over the past week or so, they haven't been playing well. Now, granted, they are on a 4 game winning streak, so it looks like they are picking things back up, so they may be able to hopefully turn it around. But yeah, I think Kay Cunningham is playing very, very well this year. So like, yeah, I think that it wouldn't be surprising if he is in the top three voting. But if I had to choose, I had to go with SGA. I really wanted to give it to Jokic because that's my guy, but I think SGA is going to get it again this year.
Mhm, and now we're seeing that
Yeah.
Jokic is missing games, unfortunately, because of his injury.
Yeah.
Um,
So he probably won't get it.
and we saw, I think it was Coach David Adelman. He came out and had a rant about that shit, man. A lot like he kind of had some valid points, and I could see why some people don't fuck with the game rule like that. Because injuries are of course a part of the game, and they some players they do not interfere with their talent or their impact at all. But it is what it is, of course. But yeah, I do like your pick though. SGA 100% could get it again. That is very accurate. I do think Cade could pull it off this year, depending how the season finishes, because the Thunder do have the best record in the whole league. Out of all 30 teams. So I think it's going to be close, but I definitely think Cade could pull it off for sure. Going into the next one, mine's Defensive Player of the Year. That's what I was going to do for the second one. Um, Most definitely, I think it's pretty easy. I was gonna go with Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs. He continues to play great this year, living up to all the hype as everyone had on him coming out of the 2023 NBA draft. This yeah, like his defensive impact, it really is second to none. With this impact on the floor, there's really not much that he can't do. He's only averaging about 2.7 blocks per game right now. But of course, when you're watching the games, what he can do. Just his last 3 games, he had 5 blocks on Utah, 4 on the Pelicans, and 5 on Houston. That was literally last night. So I do have Victor Wembanyama finally being the Defensive Player of the Year. If not him, it's Alex Sarr. He's been playing fucking great in Washington.
Yeah, that's what I have as my on defense player of the year, Wemby. I said before that this is a guy who's going to get defense player of the year, not just once, but consecutive years, honestly. So hopefully that he'll get his first one this year. And to your point, averaging 2.7 blocks and 11.2 rebounds. Rebounds, they are part of defense. So when you
Yep.
have those two stats combined, you have a really solid case. So to your point, of course, you'll have other players that will be involved when you talk about Alex Sarr for as a name. Of course, we would have our guy Dyson Daniels, Amen Thompson and Derek White. But if we're talking about defense player of the year, of course, we know Rudy Gobert. He's going to be in it because he's a multi defense player of the year. So we know he's probably going to be in the top
Yep.
three in voting. But yeah, I mean Wemby, we know who he is and his dominance, and it's just only gonna be a matter of time. So we know this is probably honestly this is probably like the easiest vote, not just all around, but just in terms of defense player of the year voting is just that simple because Wemby's talent and how he's able to affect the game, it's just easy to identify who is the best defensive player of the year, player of for the whole season. So yeah, I think that he'll get it this time. So I'll be shocked if he doesn't.
I agree. Let me ask you this before we move on. He's 22 years old right now.
Mhm.
If you had to bet how many defensive players he will win, if he wins one this year, how many do you think he'll win in his career when it's all said and done? He's like a 9-time defensive player. Like how many do you think he could possibly win in his career?
Well, of course, factoring into his health, because I know he's been dealing with some health issues at least last season. Dealing with blood clots and things of that nature. But
Yep.
if his health is sustainable, I could see him getting more than Rudy. So I think Rudy is a 4-time defense player of the year, 3 or 4. Yeah. So I think Wemby can honestly get 5 or 6, honestly. I think
Well,
he's just that dominant. So
nah, I agree. I do think there will be multiple occasions where he does bring home the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year, just like Michael Jordan did.
most
Most
definitely.
definitely. I think he's like the only player in the league right now that actually has that kind of potential. The only player in a long time, actually, looking back on it, that has that too. Maybe like Kawhi Leonard when he was in his prime.
Giannis did, I believe.
Yeah, shit.
MVP and defense
Yeah,
player. Yeah.
2019, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah. MVP and defensive play. Like that shows you the kind of player you got to be. Even just mentioning Giannis. Moving on though, my most improved player. That was the third one for me. I think you actually might have the same one for this one. Yeah. I was gonna go with Nikhil Alexander Walker of the Atlanta Hawks for my most improved player.
Bruh. Okay,
Um,
something's wrong here because you just be copying everything I be saying. But go ahead.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Nah, yo, great minds think alike as always. Plus
Yeah.
I do think it's pretty easy if you're watching basketball. Completely objectively, Nikhil Alexander Walker averaged like 9 points a game last season. He's averaging 20 right now. He's continued to drop 20 points. Like, I mean, like it's pretty remarkable to see the jump he's made. He continues to drop double digits, like it's over and over and over. Like there hasn't been a game damn near this season where he hasn't scored or he scored below 10 points. So he played great, 21 points on Boston, 21 in Indiana, has 12 in Houston right now while playing against Houston. He had 32 against Milwaukee. So he's been consistent all year for this Atlanta Hawks team. And I do think he will win the most improved player. I think it'd be a travesty if he didn't win that shit. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's who I had on my list as well. Again, great minds think alike. But yeah, I think for Nikhil, I think it's just more so the fact of the jump that he made last season. When he came to Minnesota, right? Last year in Minnesota, he had averaged 9.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 25.3 minutes. Now, and really I'm not sure if he will be averaging 20 points per game this year if he was still coming off of the bench because he was brought in as a sixth man to lead the bench. But of course, with the loss of Trey Young and injuries, he's been mostly a starter this season thus far. But currently, he's averaging 32 points. I'm sorry, 32 minutes. He's averaging 20.3 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. So yeah, just to seeing the improvement he made from last year into this year, I certainly think that he will be in the mix. And really, he's honestly been the best free agent, signing this past summer, honestly, and that's been talked about the most. Um, for Nikhil. Now, however, just to be, to separate myself from everything, if Nikhil doesn't get it, I think Jalen Johnson would be another strong candidate,
Yeah.
averaging 22.9 points and 10.5 rebounds and averaging 7.9 assists per game. And so I think he has a stronger case, honestly, because he should have won the most improved player of the year a couple seasons ago, but he's been, dealing with injuries that got in the way of things. But now you're seeing him where he's averaging a triple double for in the month of December, and he's just been killing it, honestly. And that's mostly been without Trey. And so I do believe that he will become a first time All Star on February 1st, which is right around the corner. So,
Mhm.
of course, the All Star reserves will be announced. But yeah, I think those are two strong candidates that will win most improved player. But I think if anything, I think it would more. I think it would gear more towards Nikhil because it's not surprising Jalen Johnson averaging triple doubles because we know a lot more people has more potential. They're more familiar with this game and what he can do. But for Nikhil, like I said, coming from Minnesota, who was a key contributor to that team, and now you're seeing him playing a bigger role, playing more minutes, and he's giving more production as a starter right now. So yeah, I think it'll give it. I think they'll give it to Nikhil Alexander Walker, but I think he'll at least be in the top three voting as well.
Nah, I feel the same way, but most definitely. And yeah, like I do think that he's probably a lock for it. At this point, I'd be kind of surprised if he didn't win it. But moving on though to the coach of the year. Got two more left. I put down coach of the year, and my last one was rookie of the year. After that, just letting you know, Garrett, for the
Hmm.
people. But so for me, I was gonna go with JB Bickerstaff of the Detroit Pistons for my coach of the year. He came in 2024. He had a lot on his desk when he first sat down in Detroit, Michigan. And he's completely turned this fucking franchise around, man. Like it truly is remarkable to see him come in and gain that kind of respect as a head coach. Um, Obviously, we saw him as the like associate head coach in Cleveland, and he became the real head coach at one point. We saw him lead the Cavs to a good record and all that before Kenny Atkinson came in and got that coach of the year literally the next year. But I think for JB Bickerstaff, Detroit was exactly what he needed. He needed a young team he could basically have a fresh start with, just reintroduce his kind of his brand of basketball to a young team, veterans that had never, that hadn't been in the league like that, that weren't aware of who he was, that he could just come in and just implement like, just a fresh start on a new team in a new era. And we're seeing how it's paying off with Cade Cunningham playing amazing, with Jalen Duren breaking out this year. Like he's about to be an all-star. They have two all-stars for the future now, and we're still yet to see what Jaden Ivey could really be once he really gets his injuries under control. So I do think that JB Bickerstaff should be the coach of the year. Mark Daigneault's having another phenomenal year over in Oklahoma, but I think that that man over in Michigan should definitely win it. I think the Pistons are on pace to finish as the first seed this year. Um, and I think that's really been a part of him. He's already been announced as the NBA All-Star Game head coach for this year, JB Bickerstaff. So he's getting the respect around the league. And I think at the end of the year, he should get that award as the coach of the year.
Yeah, my vote honestly is Joe Mazzulla.
Okay. Word. Okay. Word. All right.
Yeah, I would give it. I think Joe Mazzulla should get it because, of course, this past summer, this past off season, the Celtics they had to tear down their core players because they
Mhm.
were in the you know first or second, second even rather. So of course they had to uh, get rid of players that helped them win their recent championship with the likes of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, and of course they were able to keep other guys such as Al Horford, for example. So a lot of people expected Boston to not be a championship contending team, obviously, but at the very least, I thought they would be a play-in team. But the fact of the matter is that they are a top three seed in the Eastern Conference, right? And so they're sitting at 29-18. They're a top three seed, and they share the same record as New York. So they really could be a top three or top two seed. So I think that's impressive for Joe Mazzulla and his staff to find other ways to win with lesser talent, if you will. They have Anthony Simons and of course that they have
Yeah.
other core guys such as Derek White and Jalen Brown, and those
Dan
guys are having to
Hauser.
play a bigger role. And like I said, it's more impressive when you're doing this without your best star with your best superstar in Jason Tatum. And no, just a heads up, this doesn't mean to trade, Jason Tatum, because they're a top three seed. But the fact of the matter is just that when you're able to still remain competitive at a high level with without your star player or less amount of talent, I think that just shows how good of a coach Joe Mazzulla is. So I think that he should at least be in the top three. I know I'm saying the top three for everybody, but for Joe Mazzulla, that should really solidify his voting or his stance as coach of the year. Of course, you have other coaches like JB Bickerstaff they just mentioned, but for me, like I said, I think it's more impressive when you're able to do that with lesser talent. So they really impressed me this year. And so if they continue to play the way they are now, I mean they will make it to the playoffs as a top three seed and get home court advantage. Now, as far as how everything goes after that, then of course we won't know until that happens. But no, as a top three seed and with lesser amount of talent, that's really really good work. I have to give the man props. So great work there.
Nah, man. Yeah, I was surprised by the pick because it was definitely a sleeper for sure. Man, it's accurate, most definitely. Like he's came out. Um, I was surprised when they were the 2 seed at the beginning of the year, and they're still there. And they're not the third right now. I think New York
Yep.
just took it because the records are really really close. But yeah, man, I think you're like, hey, like that's definitely pretty close. Not too far off. I definitely think this really proved how good Joe Mazzulla is as a head coach, coming in after Ime Udoka, the whole Neil Long situation and shit like that, and just the fact that like he had that star-studded roster and they lost most of their players and they're still winning now, which definitely does give him the grounds to win Coach of the
Uh,
Year.
and
Um, mm,
just to clarify for you guys, yes, Boston is in third, but they are tied with New York. So
Right.
they both are 29 and 18 at the moment.
right.
Yep. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, man.
That's why we said last week about New York. New York can't be pussyfooting around because there's the rest of
They got teams coming,
the
coming, coming to
league,
get you.
the rest of the Eastern Conference is right on your heels.
Yep, that
Mhm.
is right. Yep, because you have Toronto up there and Cleveland as well. So yeah, you got a few teams right up your tail. So
Exactly. For and for the last category of the awards section of the podcast, it's Rookie of the Year. I mean, hey man, I could say it's easy, but you might have a different pick. But I mean, he's living up to the hype. The moments he touched down in Dallas, I was gonna be Cooper Flag, most definitely the former Duke Blue Devil. He had like 42 at one point this year. He's playing fucking great. He's catching his consistency. The game is already slowing down for him. He's posterizing grown men at the age of 19, just turned 19. So just the fact he's looking this good, but like below the age of 20, like it, and Colin Kneppel too. Like, people knew he was gonna be good. We knew he had good intangibles, good technique, a good skill set coming out of Duke, being able to play defense and shoot the three the way he was able to. But the fact he translated this quickly for Charlotte, it's completely changed the trajectory of that team. Like I'm seeing reports that they view Con Kneppel as the face of the franchise over LaMelo now, and like I mean it's crazy, man. Again, like this dude is this young, but like I feel like good is good. If your game's gonna translate, it's gonna translate. And some dudes when they touch the ball, it's different for them. So I think Colin Kneppel and Cooper Flag, they've revealed themselves to be future stars in this draft. They have the work ethic and the skill. When you have that combination, those players don't fall off. So and they're in good pockets. They're great franchises for where they need to be. Like, Charlotte's gonna eat with Colin Kneppel. He can take as many shots as he wants to. He's already getting that. They've already given him the keys, and Dallas has full trust in Cooper Flag. Even with Anthony Davis on the team, anytime they show the Dallas Mavericks on the fucking TV, it's Cooper Flag and the Dallas Mavericks. So he's already getting that respect from the league because they see what he's capable of too. So, but I do think it's Cooper Flag. But I am excited to see what Colin Kneppel is going to do for the remainder of his career. Just seeing how good he has been this early.
yeah, Of course, I have to go with Cooper Flag out of Dallas. Right now, averaging 18.8 points and 6.4 rebounds and 4.1 assists. So, of course, with the rookie of the year, I guess it's always going to come down to is who's having the biggest year. And Cooper Flag, no one overall pick. But yeah, I think that's who will be given the rookie of the year. He's been playing very, very well. And I know the Mavericks are not in a really ideal situation right now. Many of us expected the Mavs to be a top five seed, honestly, but I think that's taken into account if everyone was healthy. But of course, that is not the case. You have Anthony Davis and Kyrie; they're dealing with injuries, so you're seeing more of the young guys play more minutes, which is good. But yeah, I think Cooper Flag will win it. Now, if I had to give a secondary uh, voting, I think it would go to BJ Edgecombe out of
Ooh.
Philly. I think he's been playing very, very well, and I'm glad he's on my fantasy team. He's been putting up good numbers for me. But no, BJ Edgecombe, he's been very good. I think the backcourt between him and Tyrese Maxey is going to be very exciting for years to come. And he's been putting the Sixers in positions to win games. And matter of fact, he hit the game winning 3-point shot against the Memphis Grizzlies a couple weeks back
Mhm.
or so. So he's been playing at a high level. He's impacting the game, and he's a real contributor to that team. So yeah, if Cooper Flag doesn't get it, then I think BJ Edgecombe should be the guy to get it. And right now they're fighting for a playoff spot for the Sixers. Right now they are currently I think they are a top six seed. I have to double check and see. Yeah, top six seed at 25 and 21. So yeah, they're fighting for a hopefully they can, get a home court advantage because they're not too far behind from Cleveland, who is 29 and 20. So, they're a top six seed. So, and I think you have to attribute to some of that effort to VJ Escombe. Of course, they're getting other contributions from Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, the veterans. But for BJ Edgecombe to come in and make an immediate impact right now, that's going to help his case in getting that award. So I think just from an anonymous standpoint, I think it'll go to Cooper. But if we're just being a little bit more optimistic or not being biased, I think it will go to BJ Edgecombe if Cooper doesn't get it. So that's my vote.
Most definitely. Amen. All good picks. The 2025 draft class was great too. Just like the 2026 will be. Just the only difference is the Hawks will be benefiting in this one, this time around. Most definitely for fuck sure. And yeah, that was really all for me for all the awards and stuff like that. We're halfway through the season, so we'll continue to see what happens. Executive of the year, and shit like that. I mean, I still feel like that's Sam Presti. I don't know who else is beating him out of that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that was really it for me though. But going into our last topic of the night, most definitely got to do this one for shit sure. Got to give a shout out to John Wall, the former number one overall pick of the 2010 NBA draft out of Kentucky. At that, out of Kentucky. Do not fucking
Whoa, whoa,
forget.
whoa, 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 whoa. I don't fuck with Kentucky like that. Don't do that. I live in Louisville. It's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Most definitely. Yeah, I gotta give a shout out to John Wall. Yeah, man, fucking great career, even with the injuries he had. Um, Another player, this is how I was talking about Colin Knappel. He had shot out of a cannon back in 2010, and he averaged 16 points and 8 assists his first fucking year. I mean, like you could get a fucking point guard averaging that right now to get a fucking $120 million deal. Fucking being a fucking starter. He was doing that his first fucking year. So I really do think we didn't get to see the best of him. I think it was just the injuries that really derailed him, and obviously everyone knows that. But um, The broken hand, I think, really gave him issues, most definitely. When he caught that injury, he was still trying to perform his best, and I remember he had that wrap on his hand during that time, most definitely. But yeah, though, like I do think that he was still like a top three, top 5 point guard during his prime. I think he was outstanding. Just the things he was able to do on the court, his athleticism, his veracity when attacking the hole, to be able to pass and to be able to attack like that. That was personally my favorite combination to watch in basketball. During that time, most definitely. Um, but yeah, man, like he's getting a jersey retirement today. Also got to give a shout out to Mark Aguirre as well. I didn't get to watch him play,
Hold up, hold up,
unfortunately.
hold up, hold up. Let me correct you on that. He's not getting his jersey retired. He's just
Hmm.
getting honored tonight.
Honored.
Just
Okay.
honoring him tonight.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. I thought I saw that on Twitter because I know he was in Dallas for a long time and he averaged like 29 points a game at one point. So, hey, it's what it is. But thank you, Wiley. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, most definitely. But yeah, man, sticking with John. The Wizards are retiring number two. That is happening. We saw Trey Young say that himself during his introductory press conference. So, like I said, he was a great player. He's had injuries, unfortunately. He was a 5-time All Star during his time in the league. He was an All NBA point guard, getting an All NBA third team selection. So even was a slam dunk contest champion, because a lot of players are catching ridicule these days for not wanting to do
Weak
the
ass
slam dunk.
contest.
For real, a lot of players don't like doing it nowadays. So, yeah, man, got to give a shout out to John Wall. He was in Washington for 10 years. They even kept him after the injury, similar to how Chicago did Derrick Rose, and they tried to work it out until they just couldn't anymore. So yeah, man, got to give a shout out to John Wall, most definitely. Always enjoy watching him play. He was a great player. One of the best one and dones I ever saw, and always got to show respect, most stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, to Wiley's point, yeah, they're not retiring his jersey. It's just a special, honor for his contributions to the Washington Wizards organization. But yeah, I think he deserves it regardless, whether he's getting a jersey retirement or not, or at least not yet. We knew John Wall was a problem back in the day. I mean, he was one of those guys that was unstoppable. He was a guy that will score at a high level and uh, distribute the basketball and get everyone involved at a high level. You're talking about averaging 20 points and 10 assists, but I think what made John Wall such uh, a hard player to guard was, his physicality and his speed. Being able to score in transition and being able to finish through contact in a acrobatic way. I mean, his athleticism was crazy. I think if we're talking about back in the 2010s era, you're talking about players such as John Wall, Derrick Rose, who had just had his jersey retirement recently, and of course you had Kyrie Irving. I think those three guys were the toughest guards back then because of how they were able to attack the basket and finish around the rim. They were able to do that at an elite level, and it was just unstoppable for them to do that. Uh, but yeah, for John Wall, 5-time All Star, I think he deserves it all. I know that he was, going through, emotional adversity at one point after, he left. But I've seen John Wall, come through adversity before, even during the NBA. So being able just to see him bounce back and, continue to live through life and make the best of it. So I think that this honor will just remind him of how beloved he was to all the fans in Washington. And I think that hopefully he will get his jersey retired at some point. But regardless, like I said, I think just what he was to the Wizards organization, I think that he deserves this special honor. And like I said, just to remind everybody how beloved he was to all the fans and how much he meant to them.
I know that ain't who I
And
think
uh,
it is.
and yeah, he gave a lot of teams a lot of problems. I remember when we beat Washington in the playoffs, a little over a decade ago, and um, He went to 6 or 7 games, but I think he went to 6 games. But yeah, John Wall, he was a very special player, and yeah, so I think he deserves this when that time comes.
You go ahead, Wally.
Uh, I have a rebuttal, but I'm gonna get to that in a sec. Antoine. Shout out to John Wall, man. Definitely a person that definitely deserves his flowers. Um, Dealing with that organization. I always joke around with the Wizards, although in my lifetime the Wizards have not won 50 games ever. But they've had some moments, like the Wizards have had some moments uh since I've been watching basketball. They've had their moments, and John Wall was definitely one of those moments. And to see him come, like you said, come from Kentucky, although disappointing tourney run.
Mm-hmm.
I Again, another conversation for another episode, for another podcast. But seeing him come from Kentucky and for him to come on the scene in Washington and just be that spark, he was that spark that the Wizards needed. Because again, this is a time where the Wizards were just kind of in la la land, kind of, so to speak, as far as an organization. There was no real direction for them at the time, and for them to be able to draft John Wall and him to be able to produce immediately, produced a spark in that team. And then they had their moments. They weren't great, but they were a good enough team to, like you said, they were able to make the playoffs here and there. Like y'all mentioned, injuries happened to John Wall, and derailed his career to where he finally leaves Washington, ends up in Houston, ends up in LA. Like, he has these other stops and he's still productive, but his body is still fucking with him to the point where it's like, okay, now I have to make a decision. Do I continue to try and play, or do I go ahead and retire? I'm glad to see him. I'm glad to see him on TV and doing commentary. He seems to be enjoying this and getting the feel of things and being able to display his knowledge of the game to the world. So that's definitely a plus. But like I said, I wanted to combat you real quick. You said that he was top three guards in 2010. I want to list off some guards here.
2010. No, I didn't say in 2009. I said during his prime. I was like, he's a top
even
five,
during his prime.
I mean, I definitely.
I won't say he was top three. He was in the mix. So even still, I'm gonna run.
We're just talking about like top three players, or like during that time, or like top three.
Yeah, he's talking about point guards. Even still, even with point guards during his prime. I'm gonna name you some names. Chris Paul. I want to say Darren Williams. I want to say Darren Williams still playing. You still had Steve Nash. Still had Rondo. Derrick Rose was battling the injury bug. Still had Tony Parker. Let me see. Russell Westbrook. Steph Curry, because now if we're talking about his prime, Steph Curry has come about. Like you said, Kyrie Irving. Like, a lot of these guards they're up there. They are up there during his prime.
I mean, yeah, like,
and I'm not, and again, I'm not trying to do this as any type of diss or anything. It's just the fact that top three.
Yeah, I only said top three in terms of being able to like get to the basket, finish around the rim, just in that aspect, because like those guys were like super quick, very athletic.
Good.
And
He had
they
he had a
like
lot. He was able to
yeah.
take.
So
He was able to take the punishment going to the basket.
yeah, so it's just like in terms of like just in that aspect, I think the top three was those three guys. They
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
once they get to the
So,
rim, it's pretty much a wrap.
look,
Like
my ears
there's no
perked up
stopping it.
when Antoine said top three. I'm like, hold up, because I'm like, we've had some point guards in the league,
Yeah,
even
don't get me wrong. Now we had a lot of dogs
especially
back
during his.
then.
Well, and I'm just saying
Yeah,
during that time frame where he started,
yeah,
where John Wall was in that prime of point guard in his
yeah,
point guard phase.
yeah.
There were point guards. I was like, hey man, I would love to put
Hall
John
of
Wall.
Famers, it ain't.
I would love to put John
Yeah,
Wall up in that top three space, but we had some point guards. It's just like, yeah, I would love to put you in that spot. I can't put you in that spot.
I mean, like he was a consecutive all-star though. Like during his peak, he was
I
averaging
get,
23
I
points
get
and
all that.
11
I
assists.
don't give a fuck about accolades.
Like,
I'm
I
talking
mean,
about
even in terms
playing.
of his
I'm
skill
talking about
set, hell yeah, he can play defense. He can shoot.
I'm
I
talking
mean,
about playing the point guard position. I'm not.
he was averaging 11 assists. He was getting 10 assists. I mean, he averaged 10 assists
Uh,
3 years in a
I, I
row.
I get you, but he was still not considered the top three.
I mean, like, yo, I'm okay, like top 3, top 5. I mean, yo, for sure.
I
If
will give you
Washington
top.
was good, if
I'll give
Washington
you.
was good, I
I will give you
100%.
top 5, top 3, absolutely not.
But if Washington was good, though, given his skill set, you have a point guard giving you 23 points and 11 assists back then. Before you had
But,
niggas like, I mean, dudes like
but
Trey Young,
also,
coming out here. You feel me?
just like the Michael Porter conversation last week.
But nah, yo, these weren't dead numbers. Washington was making the playoffs.
Listen to me.
Washington was making the playoffs.
Listen to me, Antoine. Washington needed him to do that. That's my point. Washington needed him to score and do all of that. Like Bradley Beal didn't come until later. And even then that took some time. So they still needed John Wall to do all of that shit. So that's my thing. And like I said, this is not to take anything away from John Wall, but when we're talking about the best of the best when it comes to that point guard position,
he was a 5-time
for
in a row.
For me, not top 3.
I mean, yeah,
top
man.
5,
like,
top 5, I got you. Top 3, absolutely not.
I mean, hey, niggas gonna have their opinions at the end of the day. You feel me? The best team he ever had, the 2017 Washington Wizards, finished that season 49-33. You feel me? Like even that year, like he was still playing good. He averaged 23 points and 11 assists. He was 7th in MVP rankings. Like I mean,
all that, brother.
I'm saying, but. I'm just saying, like, at his peak, though, he did exactly what, as a point guard, what you want. I can get you buckets, and I can get you assists, too.
You said 2014?
2017. 2014, they were not that. 2014, he made the All-Star game for the first time.
Hold on. 2017.
2017, Washington Wizards, 16,
2017,
17.
I'm gonna name you some guards. Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry. They got James Harden. He actually
James is more for shooting guard.
James Harden played the point guard position that
He
year.
was a combo guard, but they saw him as a shooting guard.
Well, no, I'm talking about the year that he was in Houston, and he for that year primary point guard. And guess what happened for James Harden? MVP. Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Mike Conley.
Even when it comes to Kyrie, like people like Kyrie's style more, but who's a better playmaker? John Wall, 1000%. John Wall is a better playmaker than Kyrie Irving.
All I'm saying is top 3. I can't give it to him. Top 5, absolutely.
I mean, like, yo, it's whatever, man. It's not like I'm even here trying to like campaign. I'm not saying he is top 3. No, I'm just saying to completely just like saying he's just not even in the conversation. He's just like it. He's not even in the same breath as them. That's when I'm like, okay,
I said top 5. God damn, what else you want?
But now it's saying. But now, like you're saying it as if like it's not even an argument for John to be a top.
It's not
right,
top 3. Okay. Absolutely not.
I'm just saying, like in terms of his skill set, like the only thing holding John Wall back.
But again, at the point guard position, at that point guard, this is where we're getting MVP Steph during this time frame, or excuse me, championship Steph. We're not even at. We haven't even reached MVP Steph. I don't think yet. Or we're getting ready to reach.
Yeah, you wasn't. Yeah, Steph didn't get MVP.
So he's already won. He's already won it.
But I'm just saying. Well. I mean, hold on. Well, I said, in my point, like I said, I didn't say overall player. I was just want to point out to like specifics, but
yeah.
But in that regard, I was saying 2010. So I was saying overall.
Yeah.
We're talking about that aspect. Then you're adding more players into that. So, like Russell Westbrook, James Harden.
Your standpoint, yeah, top 3. Yeah. Like as far as getting to the cup, absolutely.
Yeah.
But top 3 overall, I can't.
In 2010s, not 2010, 2010s. Like, in that decade.
You feel me? Like I'm putting you
in that decade.
For sure. And like, yo, like. Garrett was right in what he was talking about, like in terms of his athleticism and stuff like that. I'm saying in terms of his skill set, what you want out of a point guard. I want someone who can either score the ball or pass the ball. Definitely pass the ball, but you gotta be able to score the ball too when it comes down to it.
Yeah, but you're saying John Wall was a top 3 point guard in that decade.
I mean, like, yeah, when he was in his prime, I'm saying he was arguably. I said he was definitely up there with those dudes. He was one of the best.
Sure.
John Wall was one of the best point guards on the planet during his prime. 1,000% he was. Like, you're getting a dead Washington team, these wins. Like, even though Wiley just said that. Like, I'm not saying like he was better than Stephen Curry. I'm not saying Chris Paul was probably the best point guard in the league at that time in terms of like literally everything. He could play defense, he could play mid, he could score, he could do it all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it could be a debate for some people. Sure.
I mean, yeah, like I'm just saying in terms of what John Wall could do. Like he was a great in terms of a point guard, a facilitator, and a scorer. He was a monster in his prime, 1,000%. He was 100%, y'all. But I mean, yeah, like, and also, Wiley's right. They did not retire the jersey. It was an honor. It was a lot of that rumors stuff coming out. Even Trey said it during his introductory press conference. They were going to retire the jersey. But yeah, it was just an honor. Same thing. I think with Mark Aguirre as well. So yeah, man, like it was just cool to see him get his flowers. It was cool to see John Wall get some love. You feel me? He said he almost, he was really in a dark place, like Garrett mentioned, when he stepped away from the game. So, and like to see him come back, be on TV like this, with Taylor Rooks, Dirk Nowitzki, all that, like it really is cool to see him back in a positive light consistently. You feel me? But I already know how it goes. We can chop it up about the the hoops all night. You feel me? The dude's always going to stay 10 toes down. You feel me? But at the end of the day, everyone got opinions, and you just got to respect those opinions. You feel me? But yeah, man, that's it for me, Garrett. Great show as always. Love doing this with you. Wiley.
Yes,
and that's
sir.
it for me, man. Unless y'all got anything else, most definitely.
No, tonight was a good show, a great show as always. So of course, be sure to comment, share, like, and subscribe to our channel. Of course, we're going to continue to keep doing this, and
hit the QR code.
Of course, yeah, the QR code above, so you guys can subscribe. You know what I mean? And hopefully next week we'll be able to have more content at the trade deadline to see what moves have taken place, and hopefully we'll see a Giannis trade happen between now and then. But yeah, it was a great show tonight, so I can't wait for next week to come.
Always a pleasure to do this with y'all. Please scan the QR code. Takes you to all of our information where you can subscribe to the show, support the show. In terms of our X, YouTube channel, everything, all of our social medias and promotion. Thank y'all so much for your time, and God bless you. Enjoy the hoops. Catch y'all at the All-Star break, most definitely.
One band, one sound. Then give me my theme music.